At exactly 0347 hours, March 21st, 2026, the night sky above Diego Garcia exploded into white fire. Two Shahab-6 intermediate-range ballistic missiles, each carrying a 2,000-kilogram conventional warhead, came screaming down from the upper atmosphere at Mach 12. This was not a warning shot. This was not a bluff. This was a deliberate strike on the most critical American power projection base in the entire theater. A runway long enough for B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, a harbor deep enough to anchor a full carrier strike group, a node so vital that without it, the entire air campaign against Iran's nuclear program collapses overnight. Tech note: Shahab-6, Iranian IRBM, range 1,900 kilometers, CEP 250 meters, warhead 2,000-kilogram conventional/nuclear capable, launched to impact at Diego Garcia from Iranian territory, approximately 11 minutes 22 seconds. But here is the detail, the one classified detail that the Pentagon has refused to confirm publicly. The ballistic missiles were not the real attack. They were the distraction. At the same exact moment, flying just 50 meters above the Indian Ocean surface, 24 Soumar cruise missiles were boring in from the southwest, Iran's reverse-engineered variant of the Russian Kh-55, flying at Mach 0.8, silent, invisible to long-range radar, sea-skimming through the wave clutter like guided ghosts. They had been launched from Iranian surface vessels hiding inside a Liberian-flagged cargo convoy, 480 nautical miles southwest of Diego Garcia. No AIS signal, no radar emissions, nothing on any Allied scope. Their target? 3 B-1B Lancer bombers sitting on the runway aprons, fully fueled, armed, being prepped for the next strike package against hardened IRGC facilities deep inside Qom province. Threat assessment: if those 3 B-1Bs burn on the ground, U.S. strategic bombing capacity in the entire Middle East theater drops by 40% overnight. Iran calculated this precisely. Do you think American defenses were ready for a two-axis simultaneous strike on the most protected base in the Indian Ocean? Comment 1 below if you believe the line held, because what happens in the next 19 minutes will change everything you thought you knew about missile defense. 4:30. Geopolitical context. To understand why we are here, you need to go back 3 weeks. On February 28, 2026, the U.S. and Israel launched the largest coordinated air campaign in the Middle East since 2003. Within 72 hours, Fordo was burning, Natanz was burning, and Supreme Leader Khamenei was gone. Iran's response was not panic, it was doctrine. Over 500 ballistic missiles and nearly 2,000 drones fired across 3 weeks. Bahrain's Patriot and THAAD batteries intercepted 143 missiles and 242 drones. Saudi Arabia downed 47 drones in a single 3-hour barrage over the eastern province. The skies over the Middle East were a continuous fireworks show of lethality. And every intercepted missile was costing America $2 to $4 million per shot. Iran's math was cold and precise. Bleed the interceptor stockpiles dry, then swing at the one target you have been saving, the one base you have left untouched for exactly this moment. 500-plus ballistic missiles fired, 2,000 drones launched, 3 weeks campaign duration, $4 million per SM-2 interceptor, 40% strike capacity at risk, 19-minute engagement window. At 7 minutes, Iran's plan revealed. The IRGC's planning was not impulsive. Brigadier General Amir Hajizadeh had presented the two-vector strike concept 4 days before execution. The logic was surgical. The ballistic missiles go up first. Every American radar system, every fire control officer, every Aegis combat brain in the Indian Ocean locks on to two descending Mach 12 threats, and in that 14-second window of peak sensor focus, the Soumar cruise missiles arrive below the radar horizon, unseen, unchallenged. They had one shot at this geometry. They had rehearsed it for 3 years, and on March 21, 2026, at 03:47 hours, they pulled the trigger. At 9 minutes 15 seconds, USS Leyte Gulf, Aegis response. Aboard the USS Leyte Gulf, Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, anchored at Diego Garcia's fleet harbor, the AN Spy-1B phased array radar had the two Shahab-6 missiles in track within seconds of apogee. Fire Control Officer Lieutenant Commander Sarah O'Coffer authorized two SM-3 Block 2A interceptors from the forward VLS cells. First missile airborne in 1.8 seconds, second at 4.2 seconds, both on perfect intercept solutions. Textbook, flawless, and completely irrelevant to what was about to happen at wave height. Because nobody in the Combat Information Center was looking at the sea surface. At 3:47.41, USS Gravely, Burke-class destroyer, 60 nautical miles southwest of Diego Garcia, AN/SQR-20 towed array sonar detects surface pressure anomaly. Petty Officer First Class Marcus Webb reroutes contact to AN/SPQ-9B surface search radar. Radar locks 24 low observable returns, 50 meters altitude, 620 knots. Time to Diego Garcia runway threshold, 48 seconds. Commanding Officer Commander Rachel Howe had exactly 48 seconds. She had 32 SM-2 Block 3B interceptors in her VLS cells. She needed 24 minimum for an 85% kill probability against 24 simultaneous sea skimmers in a contested electromagnetic environment. She fired all 32. At 3:47.52 seconds, the USS Gravely's VLS deck erupted. 32 consecutive ignitions in a ripple sequence lasting 11 seconds, turning 60 miles of southern Indian Ocean into temporary daylight. At the same time, the Phalanx CIAS Block 1B spun up, 4,500 rounds per minute of tungsten, a wall of fire covering the final 1,500 meters of approach corridor. On the runway aprons of Diego Garcia, base security scrambled. 3 B-1B Lancers were emergency towed into hardened aircraft shelters by ground crews who had less than 30 seconds. They made it by 6 seconds because they had drilled this scenario hundreds of times. Muscle memory moved faster than conscious thought. At 13 minutes, engagement results. 3:48.44 hours. Count. 21 of 24 Soumar cruise missiles destroyed by SM-2 salvo. Mid-air intercept. Clean kills. 2 more shredded by Phalanx at 900 meters from the runway threshold. The 24th missile executed a programmed evasive jink at 4 kilometers from target, a maneuver the SM-2 Block 3B Seekerhead was not optimized to track. It penetrated the defensive bubble. It detonated 180 meters short of the nearest runway apron. Blast overpressure shattered 3 hangar windows, destroyed a KC-135 refueling tanker's landing gear assembly, wounded 6 Air Force ground crew, none fatally. Simultaneously, 400 kilometers northwest, 2 SM-3 interceptors found their marks. Both Shahab-6 warheads destroyed at altitude 38 kilometers, closing speed 9.3 kilometers per second. Clean kills. Diego Garcia held by 180 meters and 1 missile. America survived the strike, barely, but the real question is what happens when Iran fires 48 Soumar missiles next time. and the USS Gravely has 0 interceptors left. Stay with us, because the second operation, the one nobody is talking about, is already in motion in the Strait of Hormuz. At 17 minutes 50 seconds, aftermath and strategic reckoning, the USS Gravely had expended its entire SM-2 inventory in a 52-second engagement, combat ineffective as an area defense platform, minimum resupply time in the Indian Ocean theater, 72 hours. For 3 days, the air defense bubble over Diego Garcia contracted from 180 nautical miles to the point defense perimeter of its own CRAM batteries. The base was operationally naked. The USS Indiana's 11-day operational cover was permanently blown. A nuclear submarine that had spent nearly 2 weeks building a precise intelligence picture of traffic patterns revealed that intelligence picture gone. And the 24th Soumar missile, the one that executed the evasive jink 4 kilometers, was not a malfunction. It was a classified retrofit, a programmed final phase evasive sequence that U.S. tech